Nominative determinism is the hypothesis that a person's name can have a significant role in deciding their fate. It happens with a bunch of Batman villains, but one of our favorite examples here at NerdSync is Calendar Man, whose real name is Julian Gregory Day. So what does that have to do with calendars? Welcome to Alter Ego, where we analyze the names inside of comic books to uncover their hidden secrets. I'm DK, and the Batman supervillain Calendar Man isn't terribly well known, except for some notable appearances in the Batman video game Batman Arkham City and the miniseries Batman The Long Halloween. Topical. But he's actually been around for a while, first appearing in Detective Comics number 259 back in 1958. As you might expect, Calendar Man commits crimes that have a relationship to the date that they are committed. An anniversary, a holiday, a day of the week, the calendar. The most obvious thing about Calendar Man's real name, again, Julian Gregory Day, is how on the nose his last name is. But his first and middle names are also references to the calendar. So let's start with his first name, Julian. Yes, his first name sounds a whole lot like July, which isn't technically wrong, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. The Roman calendar had, at one point, 10 months in it, with all of the winter days just not assigned to any month at all. Then the second king of Rome, Numa Pompilius, reformed the calendar, moved some days around, and added 2 months, what we now know as January and February, which were then added to the beginning of the year, which is why October, a month whose name literally means 8, is the 10th month of the year. And for nearly 700 years, that's how the calendar stayed, until Julius Caesar reformed the calendar to account for every single day of the year. The Roman calendar previously had a variable period called INTERCALARIS that happened at the end of the calendar, and the length of the period was decided by the Pontifex Maximus, a religious and political position. And when Julius Caesar held that position, the year was somehow 445 days long. But Julius then abolished INTERCALARIS, instead opting to have the calendar account for 365.25 days of the year. After Caesar's death, the Romans then changed the 7th and 8th months of the calendar from Quintilis and Sextilis to Iulius and Augustulus, respectively. That is, July after Julius Caesar and August after Julius's adopted son, Augustus. And all of this is what we now know as the Julian calendar. And there is Calendar Man's first name. For over 1600 years, this is how the calendar was in the Western world. Until in 1582, the Pope made some more changes. See now, the Julian calendar makes years exactly 365.25 days long. And while this is a nice round number, it's not quite accurate. A solar year is technically about 365.2421897 days long, give or take. So after hundreds and hundreds of years, the calendar shifted a little. Which is not a super big deal, it's actually kind of arbitrary, unless you're talking about holidays. And this is why the Pope wanted to make some changes. The celebration of Easter is tied to the spring equinox, and at this point it had shifted by 10 days on the Julian calendar, and the Church was none too happy about this, so they sought to reform the calendar in 2 ways. First change, leap years now occur every 4 years unless that year is divisible by 100 and not divisible by 400. I know that's confusing, but what it means is that the year 2000 was a leap year, and then 1900, 1800, and 1700 weren't leap years, but 1600 was. That's not even the weirdest change. The second change was in 1582, October 4th was followed by October 15th, which sounds just absolutely chaotic. Now the name of the Pope in 1582 under who all these changes were made? Pope Gregory the 13th, and there is Calendar Man's middle name. So there's Julian, and then there's Gregory, and then his last name is Day. And I don't feel like I should have to explain that one. Now we'd like to hear from you. What other comic book names do you feel like we should tackle on this show? Leave it in the comments, and we'll try to make it into an episode. And if this is your first time here with us at NerdSync, we make several new videos every week because we believe that asking questions about the comics that we love so much makes them that much more enjoyable. So click that big old subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next one. Once again, I'm DK, and you can follow me on Twitter and pretty much every other social media as Declarations. And if you happen to want more me, you can check me out at youtube.com/declarations. And don't forget, on Monday there will be another episode of the NerdSync podcast available on iTunes and SoundCloud, so be sure to check that out. I'll see you guys next time.